go back into open session, and we will start with one of our favorites, Taking Positive Steps Service Award.
Yeah. So each year, the Wisconsin Association of Wisconsin Association of School Boards has a recognition program where districts can recognize outstanding local businesses that support their schools. The School District of Lodi nominated the following 3 businesses for inclusion on the WASB Business Honor Roll, and all 3 were included, so we're going to honor them all tonight with a Taking Positive Steps of Service Award. And not only do you get recognized by that, you get $100 grand. So it's quite an honor. So we're going to start first with Pre-Emergency Planning, LLC, so Melissa Waller. So Melissa, you want to stand up? So Melissa Waller in Pre-Emergency Planning worked with our community safety group to run a tabletop safety exercise for our district and community. Included in this exercise was the City of Lodi, Lodi Area EMS, Lodi Police, Lodi Fire, Cobus and Bus Services, Columbia County Emergency Management, and the school district staff. It was a great learning opportunity for all and helped us to do all we can to ensure the safety and security of our students, staff, families, and community. Melissa Waller in Pre-Emergency Planning met with our planning group to determine what type of scenario to use, and the outcome of our safety group was looking at this process. Melissa Waller ran the realistic scenario, asked probing questions, and created a judgment-free learning zone for all participants. The School District of Lodi really, truly appreciates the work of Melissa Waller in Pre-Emergency Planning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to say?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And it came as a surprise when she emailed me, like, we'd want to give you an award. I was like, oh my gosh. So, thank you, guys. And everybody should feel really good that the district is actually promoting and working through their emergency planning. That's great with so many external partners. So thank you, guys, for keeping my kids safe as well.
Thank you.
Take a picture in front of that screen.
Perfect, thank you.
With the picture. The board president. And I'll move on to the next group. So our next business that the School District of Lodi nominated was Brian Schmidt Enterprises. So is Brian and Stephanie here. So we nominated Brian Schmidt Enterprises as a continuously donating their time, talents, and materials to the district. Within the past few years, Brian Schmidt Enterprises gave significant in-kind donations of time, materials, and expertise to the Lodi Stadium project. This year, they made a similar donation to the Heritage Park playground at our primary school. While the majority of the Heritage Park is amazing, we had an area by the large slide that was continually washing out and unusable. Brian Schmidt and his team put in a retaining wall and steps that will make this area beautiful and functional for our students and our families. The district continues to be grateful to Brian and Stephanie and Brian Schmidt Enterprises for their unwavering support of our district. So, thank you so much.
And they have to
Take
split
one
their
to say? Yeah, I guess it's
No, thanks.
We appreciate it.
Yep.
We like giving back.
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
And you guys give back quite a
You
bit.
do a
so
lot.
thank you.
Yeah?
You guys do a lot.
You're welcome.
We're
Thank
gonna
you.
take a picture, take care of it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
And last but not least, Lodi Veterinary Care.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the Schmidts would share. I didn't know if you two would share. So the School District of Lodi nominated Lodi Veterinary Care for the WASB Business Honor Roll. They have significantly impacted our students in our Career and Technical Education Department by giving tours to our agricultural career classes over the years. They provided guest speakers for our veterinarian studies, physical exams, and for different species classes. They have led stations at our Fall Day on the Farm event for FFA, talk about a vet's role on the farm. Lastly, they have also partnered with the Zoetis
Close.
program to make an annual donation to the Lodi FFA, which supports many of our students. So thank you so much. And here's your year-end bonus.
Thank you.
You want to stay?
Yeah, just thanks for allowing us to come into the schools for these opportunities.
for us to be there, and hopefully makes a difference in at least one person's life.
So we appreciate it. We appreciate when they get that.
Most of our contribution is through the ag program, and so we really treasure a strong ag program that Lodi has. And, we're both products. I'm actually from Lodi ag program graduate, so yeah, thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Former Vice President of the FFA.
Good job.
Vice President of the FFA to Superintendent.
Yeah, I don't know if that was tougher. You had to memorize a lot for the Vice President of the FFA.
All right. Yay, now we get to see a presentation. Our German exchange coordinators.
Yeah, so we have Mason Kittlesey. Is just you or Sarah here?
Just me.
No, that's
Just
not just you.
Yeah.
Mr. Kittleson is here with our students, some of our students who went on the German exchange program. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
All right. All right. Got a couple of you?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I didn't get to go to Germany, so I'm a little jealous that they get to share about their experience. I wish I could have shared with them. Do you guys have a person who did this first? The script looks like?
Yeah.
All right.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Alright, so as I mentioned, we'll be giving you a presentation on our trip to Germany. And I'm Gracie Burkholder, this is Adriana Gonzalez, this is Abby Wagner, and this is Lawrence Wolf.
So, these are the topics we'll cover: the flight, host, Schwalmstadt, food, trips, and Berlin. So, firstly, we had a very smooth flight there and back. We ate really good airplane food. We got to choose who we sat with, and we were fairly comfortable the entire time. Our traveling day started at 7:30, and we left the school on a bus and drove to Madison. I had a 30-minute flight to Chicago with an hour layover. Then we had an 8-hour flight to Frankfurt, and we took a train to Schwalmstadt. For our flight back, we flew out to Berlin to Frankfurt and had a 4-hour delay, and then to Chicago and a 7-hour layover in Chicago before we flew to Madison, where we went back up with our families.
So our host families, so most of us knew our hosts from when they came to America, and a lot of us had the privilege of being able to choose who we stayed with, and we all stayed with our pretty close friends. Each of us appreciated when our hosts would do little things like make us lunch or take us to school. It really made us feel like we were staying at our own homes, and a lot of us did things with our hosts just on free days, like play Mario Kart and go on trips to like go-karting or historical sites and shopping and visiting like just local places.
So for Schwalmstadt is the city we stayed in. It has a population of 18,720. While we were in Schwalmstadt, we attended Schwalmstadt Gymnasium, which is the highest level of schooling in Germany. And our days in Schwalmstadt consisted of going to school with our hosts, some of the classes we went to were our English, science classes, and even Spanish. When we weren't with our hosts, we went on day trips around the town. We went to their mall, their grocery stores, and we even met with their Burgermeister, which is a mayor.
Next is food. We enjoyed many different German cuisines, some of which we were familiar with, since Germany, or Wisconsin, has a lot of German ancestry, and some we were new to. This includes schnitzel, which is this, soft pretzels, which they don't eat with cheese. That's just an American thing. Lots of bread, which they call Brötchen. And a Turkish favorite, doner kebab, meaning rotating roast. That's me eating it right there. And then a highlight was going to an XXL restaurant where all the food is massive. So here's a kebab, here's giant schnitzel, and bread.
So day trips. During the week, we'd usually take a lot of day trips, which was really fun. And they lasted typically like late afternoon, nighttime. Some days required a really nice comfy bus, like when we went to the salt mines. And some days were just like, we just walked around the town, and when we met the Burgermeister, we just walked there. Or when we went to a hotel that one of our German friends' moms owned. And they were really fun, and they helped us learn the geography and the history. They helped us experience the architecture. And yeah, they also taught us to navigate ourselves through public transportation. Like Miss Gleiss was really helpful teaching us how to ride the subway, and eventually we got the hang of it ourselves and knew how to get on and off. And yeah, a lot of us had fun riding the trains. So. And this is some more day trips. This was in Marburg, and around were old houses, but they turned them into like luxury shopping. This was a bike tour we did in Berlin. This was the Martin Luther Castle, and then us on the subway.
So Berlin, our last few days were spent in Berlin. When we first arrived there, we checked into a hotel, which is a hostel, which is different. And then we toured the city. We first went with a cool tour guide named Lewis. We walked around, we shopped around. There's another tour we went on, it was a biking tour, which was absolutely wonderful. We also visited some more attractions, I guess. We visited some VR rooms. We visited an escape room, which was very interesting. But then we also visited stuff like the Berlin Cathedral and the Berlin TV Tower. We met a lot of interesting people when we were there, such as a lot of exchange students from England or Belgium. It gave us a lot of opportunities to meet those guys. And while we were at the hostel, the way it was set up, it gave us a lot of opportunity to spend time with each other while also feeling pretty independent. And we could either stay in our hostel rooms or go out with friends in the lobby, and they had stuff like pool. We had Mario Kart, and we played that in booths. I especially liked when we were in Berlin. Berlin was, in my opinion, the best part because of how historic everything was. There was a lot of history, there was a lot of information, and there was also a lot of stuff to do there. I really liked our biking tour once done.
Some of my favorite parts of Germany is I got to meet up back with my host Maria, who stayed with me when I was in America, so it was really good seeing her again. I also really enjoyed taking the public transportation route, especially in Berlin and just being in a big city. And also just looking at the different architecture and just realizing how old Germany actually is. Another thing that Germany has is they're very vegan and vegetarian inclusive, so they had a lot of vegan options and vegetarian options that they made with schnitzel and stuff like that.
Is there any questions?
How many days were you guys in Germany?
3 weeks.
We were there for 3 weeks.
That's awesome.
Are they ahead or behind?
They're ahead.
How many hours?
7.
Was it hard to adjust? There and then once you came back home?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it was we got a whole day kind of to rest when we got there. And so that was
That's
really
nice.
nice. And so, yeah, I just spent my time sleeping.
Catching up.
I just want to make a comment, but the presentation you just gave covered everything nicely. It was all the questions that I had, you answered every one of them. So
That was very well done.
it was very well done.
I was excited to hear about it tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that you met people across, that they were exchange students with you, and then you got to be with them, and you really got a chance to develop a relationship. You'll be friends forever.
Thank you guys so much for
Thank you.
doing this. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Kittleson.
All you guys.
Yeah. You guys are more than welcome to stay because these board meetings are really, really interesting, but you guys can leave if you want. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so there is no public input tonight. And then I believe that we can just go over our consent agenda items. So we have our vouchers, our payroll checks, accounts payable checks, accounts payable ACH payments, automated clearinghouse payments, and our credit card payments. We have a fundraiser request for Culver's fundraiser. Fundraiser report, a wrestling fundraiser. We have a field trip request from FFA for halftime conference. We do not have any committee recommendations for approval tonight. We have our Start College Now application update, fall sports summary, and OSC, SDL, and IATA MOU. And we're going to quiz everybody and see if they know what that is. We have no retirements. We have 5 resignations. We have our co-curricular. We have 2 head high school track coaches, 2 assistants. Wait a minute, is that right? 2, no, we have, oh, they didn't number it for me. 1, 2, okay, several assistants and volunteer. We have middle school track coaches, 4 of those. Then we have girls soccer coaches. We have a head, an assistant, and 4 volunteers. We have our golf coaches, a head, 2 assistants, and a volunteer. Baseball coaches, 1 head and 3 assistants. Softball coaches, 1 head, 3 assistants, and 2 volunteers. And we have an assistant forensics coach. For crew, we have a lifeguard swim coach, we have a crew wrestling coach, crew instructor, and a crew assistant. For regular staff, we have an increase in hours for a high school special education assistant, temporary math interventionist, and elementary school special education assistant. For personnel, we have 9 leave without pay requests. And my computer, okay. And that is it for consent agenda.
I'm in it, so I'm going to abstain, so if somebody wants to.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, sorry. Motion by Sarah, second by Terry. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 5-0, 1 abstaining. Okay. Why is my computer like not moving tonight? It's going now.
Admin reports.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, administrative reports. Our student report from Caleb.
So I'll start with winter concerts. So this month, students will have their winter concerts. All students 4K through 6th grade will participate in these concerts. 4K students performed on Thursday, December 7th, and the elementary/OSC students December 8th. In the next week, the high school's band and choirs will perform starting at 7 p.m. on Thursday the 14th. Primary students on the 15th throughout the day, and middle school students and choirs on Tuesday, December 19th, also at 7 p.m. Special thank you to our K-12 music teachers for all you do in getting students ready for these events. Thank you to Mrs. Akings at the primary and elementary school, Mrs. Roberts at the elementary and middle school, Dr. Nicole Branson, also at the middle school, Mr. Hafe, Mrs. McCrae, and Mr. Menchaca, all at the high school. And I'll move on to Cocoa and Cram. So on Tuesday, December 19th, freshman students will be given the opportunity to study and get advice from upperclassmen before final exams starting the next day, which is a Wednesday. Students will have the chance after school to enjoy hot cocoa and treats while studying and interacting with the high school's junior/senior link crew. In the past, students have said they really enjoyed the experience and felt that it better benefited them and prepared them for final exams.
I love that idea. That's awesome.
It's
That's
great.
awesome.
Do they have to sign up or they can just
They
show
just
up?
show up.
Nice.
Show up, that's
Excellent.
good.
That's awesome.
Signing up is always hard.
Thank you to Mr. Radloff in this aspect. And then finally, the FFA will host a blood drive at the high school on Wednesday, December 13th. Donors must be at least 16 years old, and after donation will receive a $10 Amazon gift certificate.
Nice.
Snacks, juice, and bottled water will be provided. And there is a link on the district website for the sign-up sheet and more information.
There is one spot left at 1:15.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I just looked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kayla.
You give a great report. It's just
Yes.
That
good.
was, I loved your report you gave us.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
All right, student services.
Thanks, Heather. Tonight I'd like to give a long overdue update on behalf of Lodi's Wellness Committee. The mission of this group is to encourage employees' personal and mental well-being by providing opportunities, tools, and resources. Our primary focuses for this year are helping members know where to go for care, the importance of completing preventative screenings, and establishing and maintaining a relationship with the primary care provider. The list here are some of the activities that we have done so far this year. First was Coffee Conversation and Colleagues, was really the kickoff to our school year. Also during that event, we were able to see our therapy dogs, Maximus and Dylan. We also had the kickoff to our first wellness challenge, which was a crossword challenge. The purpose of this was for people to understand their insurance coverage by using clues to complete a crossword puzzle. We also hosted a Get on Track to Financial Wellness event during a collaboration day in November. We had a representative from WEA Members Benefit come and discuss different investment opportunities. That following week, we also had representatives come into the different school buildings to host individual conferences with our employees that wanted more information or just wanted to consult on an individual basis. Right now, we're in the middle of what we're calling the Maintain, Don't Gain Challenge for our members. The purpose of this is for our employees to pledge to maintain their weight through Thanksgiving and into the New Year's.
Good for
There's a
whoever
lot of,
can do that.
Weekly mini challenges.
This time of year?
With focuses like healthier food options, avoiding party temptations, and staying active in the winter. All of this work is done with the committee members who are listed on the bottom of the page.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But good for whoever can do that, seriously, this time of year. For 3 pounds? Come on. Okay, sorry, primary school. Thank you, Adria.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of dates, but I actually want to first start, Mr. Schuneman and I will kind of jointly talk about this, about the PTO. We had put down the fundraiser here, and Tessa Carls is here as one of the individuals that has reached out to start a PTO for 4K through 5th grade.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to Chantel Steinforce, Tessa Carls, and Stephanie Jolie, because they are working together to create a PTO for our 2 schools combined. They want to support the staff and students, improve building relationships and connections with each other, do some fundraising, and to enrich the educational experiences to improve our schools.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
We need to bring that back. It was so sad when that all diminished, so.
So we are super excited, and not only just for to have parent involvement and family involvement, but be able to connect families, and also just the support that it gives our buildings as well. And so we want to make sure you were aware of that as you had the fundraiser to approve today, but also just the work that's going to be going, and there's more to come.
And if you can come to the Culvers on Wanakee on Monday night from 5 to 8, some of the proceeds will be going to support some future activities for students.
Say that again, Monday night? Right?
Next Monday.
Yes.
From, and you said
Yes.
from 5 to 8?
5 to 8
Yes.
p.m.
Monday,
Wanakee.
December 18th,
Wanakee.
Culver's in Wanakee from
Yeah.
5 to 8, and you'll see some staff and families.
I always love those because then you don't have to cook. Like, yep, we're going to Culver's.
Jessica, is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, we just wanted to come to say hello and.
Can I
we
just-
started to get this going,
Mhm.
so.
No, thank you so much. And can I just say, you have 4 kids here, and they're sitting in a board meeting quiet.
Yes.
Can you teach us the secrets here?
We can't get our administrators to sit that quiet.
I'm not sure if you heard this one. I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Sucker, there we go.
Yeah.
Talking about Culver's.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. And for other things, we are in the middle of our assessment window right now, so working through that. School families, we had a really fun activity talking about pride, and the kids got to watch this little video from Sesame Street and Google Dolls on having pride in something. They created these long murals that we're going to be hanging in the school on something that they're proud of. We had Veterans Day. We did have one of our students' fathers come in. Staff Sergeant Getchen came in to talk to the kindergarteners. That was a really exciting activity. Just a lot going on right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lodi Elementary and OSC.
Hello, so thank you. So a couple things on the board report that I wanted to highlight. First of all, obviously, like Mrs. Fassbender mentioned, right, we have assessment happening, and there's a lot that goes into that, but just wanted to give you the same reminder I try to give our staff, that this information just helps guide us, and it either confirms or challenges what we are already seeing daily, and that assessment isn't just in these big assessments, it's in the observations and everything that we do daily to see what kids are needing. And then highlighted some social media opportunities that we had also put out there. And then wanted to, I know I put this in the community link, but I just thought it was too good not to include in the board report as well. When we have opportunities to give student voices, I think they just blow us away always. And so there's just some really good reading in there.
Oh, yes. The one
and-
comment I loved.
Yeah, and they, and it's just really fun to see students sharing not only what they enjoy about our school, but and what people should know, but also just the things that we try to instill in them that they start to internalize, and then also the advice they have for kids that are going to be joining our school. So, and then also a part of what we've been doing with our Lodi Pride, Guardians of Lodi Pride, is we have been focusing on a character trait for every month, and so these students were recognized for being people-focused by the care and commitment that they show others. There was a social media post, I believe, this morning about students that were demonstrating ready to learn. And currently our focus is including everyone. And then just have some other highlights there. We had a pretty cool presentation from William Quackenbush and from the Ho-Chunk Nation, and went and visited Reach Out Lodi. And then also just the last piece was just the staff encouragement. There's a lot of things that we try to do to help staff feel good this time of year, right, and hopefully throughout the year. But there's nothing better than a coffee cart showing up. And just it's one of the things that really helps staff feel cared for. Want to highlight that.
Thank you so much. Middle school.
Yeah, good evening, board. So first thing I want to highlight is our 6th grade team. They have veterans come in every year since I've been there. They invite local veterans, and they have between 6 and 8 veterans come in, and they put the kids on rotations, and each veteran gives a presentation. It's just really such a great day and a really great way to honor our veterans, to hear their stories, and also just a great way for our kids to learn from them. So I just want to appreciate the 6th grade team for all they do in organizing that. And actually the 7th grade team did it as well. I didn't have any pictures, and hopefully next year we'll just have like a whole school worth of rotations for kids to go to. I really think it's a great way for us to honor them for everything that they've done. I want to acknowledge Michelle Howe. She does a Halloween candy fundraiser every year, so kids donate their candy. And thank Lodi Valley Dental for donating $1 per pound to Reach Out Lodi. So it's 214
Oh my gosh.
pounds worth of candy. So we really appreciate their donation, and thanks to Michelle Howe for organizing that event for us.
They probably didn't give all of their candy, Terry. They
They
probably kept
gave up
some
the
of it.
brothers and sisters.
But
There was a lot of good candy.
That's all. Then you can go to the.
So we also, besides the grade level Veterans Day program, we had a full school and community Veterans Day program at the middle school that went very well. I appreciate all of the effort and energy our staff put into that. I want to thank Ashley Gulbranson for the band playing. I want to thank John Tippery for organizing the presentation of colors from our scouts, and then also want to thank Angela Roberts for having our 6th grade choir sing the national anthem, which sounded amazing. And one thing that we did at this event to honor our veterans is we had a lot of kid speakers. I think we had 5 different ones, and they were all kids of veterans. So just another way that we can honor them there.
it was a really great program.
Thank you. Yeah, the kids did a great job. Then I want to also acknowledge our Capital Conference middle school students that were part of the honors band for our conference. I just want to acknowledge them, and I also again want to thank Ashley Gulmerson for all of her work with those students. She's just done an amazing job building a middle school band program where there's so many numbers, it's almost a problem sometimes.
That's awesome.
Good problem to have.
And then I want to also acknowledge that we had an all-school assembly on Monday, November 27th. So this is the 2nd year we've done this in a row, and we did games. I guess I would say they're more kind of like Mad Minutes, where you just like crazy games of drawing a picture on a paper plate on top of your head, and they vote on who has the best picture. They did a rock, paper, scissors contest. It's really just a time for us to celebrate each other, really have a time for us to enjoy being with each other, and just really tries to make our middle school like a place where our kids want to be and feel like they belong. So I want to thank our student celebration team for organizing that. I'm going to miss some names, but Jessica Holman is one of the leaders of that committee. Connie Hoosman, Michelle Howe, and Dwayne Daly and Patty Heinzman all organized that day for us. We also have a volleyball game in January that they're going to organize, a student staff volleyball game. And that is all from middle school.
Thank you. High school.
All right, thanks, Heather. So first of all, if you didn't know, we won a state championship in football in November. And I just wanted to, first of all, thank Dave Poles and his coaching staff for not just this year, but many years of coaching, and that staff is pretty consistent over the years. I also wanted to thank our cheer coaches, Terry Barr, Joe Gordon, and Kelly Schaefer. They really had their athletes prepared to give an outstanding halftime performance and really lead our student section. And then finally, Mr. Haves, he was in charge of our band, and they did an outstanding job with Caleb leading them. So they did a great job as well. Just gives everybody an opportunity to do some good things.
Can I say one thing too? I remember picking up my son from practice before he drove, and he's like, the cheerleaders were on the field before us, and he's leaving practice. And I was like, yeah, they're out there longer than you guys sometimes. So
yeah, I'm amazed how much they practice, and you can really tell.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They do a great job.
They do a really good job. I also wanted to mention at the bottom of the page, Audrey Carpart, who takes all of our pictures for all of our athletics and other events. There's a link to the state game, all the pictures that she took, fans and athletes and cheerleaders and band, and then also the level 4 game, which was also outstanding. So you can take a look at those. Next portion of my report is in the classroom, and every month what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to highlight 4 classes and basically put what's in our course catalog. I'm not going to read through that, but I think a lot of times our board members and other people really don't know what's going on in some of those classes, so that's basically the description. And 2 of them I want to highlight are STEAM and GSI. And in STEAM, I was called by Kara Bircher one day, and she said, come on up, I want to show you something. And these are 2 students in a picture recently created a solar oven where they cook pizzas and cookies, which was really cool. And then in GSI, I wanted to highlight former Lodi student Jeff Lorenz, who's a lawyer in town, came and talked to Ms. Barlow's class. So it was fun going in there and listening to him. Moving on to Students of the Month, there's an error there. It says September. It's supposed to be October Students of the Month, and I wanted to thank Mr. Marshall, who's our associate principal, for organizing that every month, so you can see those students that are highlighted. Next portion is Huddle. So since the pandemic, and when the pandemic started, because there were a lot of people that couldn't go to athletic events, we started streaming events. In fact, most high schools streamed events, and we were using the NFHS network. Well, that subscription ran out, and we decided to use Huddle, which has been utilized by our athletes and coaches over the years, but it is a free service and it does a really good job. So we recently put a Huddle camera in our gymnasium, and there was one out on the football field and soccer field as well. So you can watch it through Huddle, and there are links to our front page of our high school website. I'm going to move on to finals week. That's coming up next week, so December 20th, 21st, and 22nd. It's no different than what we've had as far as finals before. It kind of explains some of the expectations and protocols. It is open campus, so parents out there, just remind your students that if they're going to go somewhere else to eat, instead of eating in our commons, they need to get back on time. And we always call Chief Smith and remind them to hang out on Sauk Street, just so they're reminded to slow down. So that's coming up next week. Our staff is really excited to be ending the semester right at holiday break. Link Career Activity Cocoa and Crème was mentioned by Caleb, so I'm going to move on. Patchwork Enterprise, it's an awesome program and awesome sale that we have every year. They do it twice a year. And in the holiday season, to see our students led by Renee Moldenhauer packing items, getting items ready, and then running the cash, collecting cash. They do a really good job. Hopefully you had an opportunity to buy some items from them. And for the first time, there were like people that knew about patchwork that were buying it in bulk, like 20 chicken soup mixes. So she was busier than ever, which is awesome. An extension of the high school is the 18 to 21 transition program, which is run by Dora Bilsey, and they also have a sale that's coming up. And that sale is Thursday, December 13th, here at the district office.
There's some really nice stuff in there.
Yeah, so they create a lot of really cool things. That
Isn't Thursday is December 14th?
Oh, is that in it?
So is it on Wednesday or Thursday? No.
It's on Wednesday. So it'll be Wednesday, sorry about
I
that.
think
So
I read
Wednesday,
that
December
somewhere.
13th.
We'll forgive you. It's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
I just wanted to show up on the right day.
And then finally, I do want to thank the district office and Mr. Brynick because they supplied ice cream treats to all of the schools, including the high school, for the district scorecards, celebrating that. So our students are really excited, and I want to thank the staff members that helped pass those out. And that's high school.
Thank you. Curriculum.
So mine really focuses on a lot of thank yous for individuals who are involved in activities that you may not be aware of, so I want to highlight some of those. And with each of these activities, it comes with a certain level of expertise that's needed to facilitate them. So right now we're in the middle, or we just started our access assessment window, which every student who is identified or has the potential to be identified as an English language learner, or sometimes called secondary English learner in Wisconsin, has to take the access assessment. And it's not a sit-down one-time assessment, it's a 4-part assessment that usually can take a few sessions over multiple days. And so Jen Morgan is trained by the state in administering the access assessment. This is her time when she really is diving in and facilitating that throughout each school, and she'll assess anywhere between 40 and 50 students in our school district here over the next month or so. So she's in the middle of that, and we thank her for that. We do give an update once we get that information back from the state to the curriculum committee of the board relative to how many students we have and their English language proficiency level. The next piece is annually the state requires us to do WISE staff data collection, and that is where they gather information relative to any staff member who has worked in any capacity within the school district of Lodi, and that information is housed at the state site for a number of different reasons. It also is associated with our licensing requirements. And so Jill Lincoln and Chris Lehman both have an certain level of expertise in that. Jill's actually learning that as Chris is teaching her that component right now, and they're putting in a lot of work to do the initial pull for that data, and then once that information comes in, sometimes we have things that we need to work on, helping people renew license that are maybe expired that we didn't know about, etc. So they're busy working on that. Again, not flashy, but things that need to be done. And the next one is similar in that vein. Chris Carls, she's working on our WISE Data Student Snapshot. So that is pulling all of our information from our Infinite Campus system and uploading it to the state, of which once she does that, she gets an error report, and then she has to comb through all of the error report and fix any information that is wrong in our infinite campus system to make sure it syncs correctly with the state. So she has been working on that for weeks. And then thank you to Elise Kearney. You remember in the fall, our juniors took the practice ACT assessments, so the results were given back. And she has had a series of sessions here, I believe that was last week, right? Where juniors would come in and she would sit and facilitate a session where she'd go through their ACT results, they get their test booklet, and then they also have an answer key, so that can be a very useful tool as they prepare for the ACT assessment. That's some feedback we heard from families a few years ago. They wanted to have the opportunity, if they choose, to have a way to prepare for the ACT. So we're trying to facilitate more of those opportunities. The last part, I just decided to put in some pictures of the community connection partnerships that are happening in the school district of Lodi and continue to happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Our district administrator report.
Yeah, I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. First, our state accountability report cards came out, so congratulations to all of our students and staff in the district for their outstanding work. Dr. Carls is going to review this later in the meeting, so I don't want to steal his thunder, but the results don't happen without a concerted effort of our students, our staff, our families, and our administrators and our board. So overall, our report card was the highest in Columbia County, highest in CISA, and tied for highest in Dane County, so congratulations to everybody for all the hard work that they've put in to make that happen. Secondly, Lodi's Board of Education hosted a community information or linkage session in Lodi at the high school on December 4th. We're diving into crucial district initiatives from strategic planning to the implementation of the 2022 referendum to green space planning. The evening showcased the district's commitment to shaping our education collaboratively with the community. Attendees had the opportunity to engage with board members in each of these areas, providing valuable insight to the district. Thank you to all who came and participated in the information sessions, and thank you to the board for all your hard work in putting that presentation together and practicing and standing in front of people and presenting. It's not an easy thing to do, so thank you. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I was going to touch on the holiday concerts, but Caleb took that, so please come out to those. They've been awesome so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest. The football team as well. I was going to mention that. The only thing I would add on to what Joe had shared is I'd just like to thank all the people who worked the game and the office staff at the high school. Going to state is a very difficult thing to do from a team perspective, and it's a very difficult thing to do from the office perspective because there's a lot of moving parts that you have to put together, and they did it flawlessly. So really appreciate all the extra time and effort that was put in by everybody. And then finally, just so people are aware, with the holidays coming up, our district office and all school buildings will be closed starting after school Friday, December 22nd through Tuesday, January 1st due to the holiday break.
Thank you. Board President report. I would just like to say how grateful I am for the community and the district. The school report cards just came out recently. I have to admit, as a parent in the district for quite some time now, I never put much stock in the test scores. I honestly used to get quite sick of hearing about them because I just assumed it was celebrating the top of the class kids. And being a mother of 4, I knew that tests don't always tell the whole story of a student. Being on the board and being much more involved in knowing our district's curriculum, knowing what is happening more in the classroom, being more aware of how much support our teachers are giving our students to perform at their best is what the test scores are actually showing. Yes, the scores show how our kids do on the test, but it has to do with so much more than that. Those tests are telling our teachers and staff that we are helping our kids. We are giving them a great learning environment, and we should be proud of that. But our teachers and administration look at those scores to see what is working and what is not. So yes, we scored exceptionally well, but not perfect, right? We will never be perfect, but we can keep improving more and more every year, which means more and more students will continue to get what they need to succeed. The best part of all of this is I didn't have to be on the board to learn all of this. Our parents have access to all of this info, whether looking on the website, emailing with questions and concerns before jumping to conclusions, or just having conversations with their teachers and/or principals. These scores reflect so much more than how well our kids did on their test. It shows all the support that our families give to their children and push them to do their best. It shows all the time and effort that our teachers do every day to make sure that our students have the best learning environment possible for their specific needs. It shows how our administration is always researching and finding the best curriculums and resources for our kids. And lastly, it shows how much our district means to this entire community. So yes, the scores are important, but without all the support for our students to do their best, the test scores would not be where they are. Part of that success is the community coming together a couple years ago, telling the district your needs and wants, and the district following our strategic plan that you put together. This is literally the definition of a group effort. So I hope everyone in this community is proud of our school report cards. Kids, keep working hard and know that you are supported, loved, and we are so proud of you. I also want to thank the teachers for all the holiday projects that you guys have the kids do. I absolutely loved getting them as my kids grew older. My kids still roll their eyes at me for displaying them every year. I'd also like to thank you for all the work, time, and effort to put on all the winter concerts for each building. They are truly enjoyable to watch, and we appreciate you giving our students these opportunities. Community members, I strongly encourage you to attend as many concerts as you can. You won't regret it. Good luck to all the winter sports seasons, since they are well into their seasons now. Being a mother of involved students, I know the dedication and work involved, and the missed family dinners, that extracurriculars take. But it is so worth it to see your child push themselves, work towards a goal, and come out as a more mature, stronger human being. Again, just another example of support by so many involved that is shown to our students to succeed. Please be conscious of the holiday season not being the same for everyone. I hope and wish for a joyous season, but I'm not naive to the fact that there is sadness too. Please try to remember what is truly important during this time of year. I know the kids might think the gifts are the priorities, but years later they will remember the family time, the traditions, and everything that you did to make this time of year special. Enjoy the winter break together, hug your loved ones as much as you can, and enjoy and appreciate the company that you are with during this time. Have a safe, enjoyable, and wonderful holiday season. All right, and now we get to move on to our Eastern European trip.
Yeah, so Mr. Kilson is here to give a board an overview of the presentation on a possible trip to Eastern Europe for students of Lodi High School to attend in the summer of 2026. The curriculum committee reviewed this presentation, unanimously moved it to the full board for recommendation of approval at their November 15th meeting. So I'll turn it over to you, Mason.
Sure. Any place you'd like me to stand?
Wherever you're comfortable.
All right. As you saw the German students that presented earlier, you could tell that they had a really awesome trip in Germany, and my goal with this trip is to allow more opportunities for students to engage in those kind of life-changing experiences. I feel like I have imposter syndrome a little bit because I teach human geography, and I'm one of the least traveled teachers probably there is. I've never really been out of the country, and then except for Toronto, Canada, so I don't really count that very much. So this would be an opportunity for me to also have those kind of life experiences that I can bring to the classroom. Because I have shown this to the whole board, I'll try to skip through this really quickly, but if you have specific questions, just stop me and I'll probably skip some of these.
Well, here you're showing it to the community, so.
Right, so you're good.
Take your time.
Okay.
Because they've not seen it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. So the reason why I want to travel, sorry, I know there's a little bit of a lag there. The reason why I want to travel again is because I feel that it's one of the most important things that human beings can do, which is something that we all long for. When we retire or when we graduate, the number one thing you ask people what they want to do is, I want to see the world. And so my hope is that I can offer an opportunity for our students to do this. So there's a whole bunch of things that go into this travel experience. The company I decided that I wanted to partner with is called EF Tours, or Educational First Tours. They have a lot of experience. This kind of shows the credibility that they have as a company. They have people on the ground every day of the year, and one of the first places that we would attend would be Berlin, and they have an office right there in Berlin, so there's someone that's always close by if we had any questions or concerns or something were to happen on the trip. They too are accredited like our school, and we'll see later on that they offer some educational opportunities for students to earn college credit or potential scholarship credit later on at the end of their trip. These are just some local schools that have partnered with EF. Every single dot that you see here is a school that has partnered with EF before, and just some notable ones would be DeForest, Sauk, Waunakee, and Columbus. This is a basic outline of our trip. So we spend about 2 nights in each place. Some of the highlights would be Berlin, Dresden, Prague, Auschwitz, Krakow, and some Budapest and Vienna. So a lot of Eastern Europe, and then a lot of historic sites along the way. This is kind of a more day-to-day outline of what we would see during those times. So these are some other things like the Berlin Wall, you get to see that. And a lot of the landscapes that you see in these images are things that will be brought into my classroom as well. We talk a lot about the cultural landscape within human geography, and so these would be firsthand experiences that they could talk about and see. I think Abby Wagner mentioned how old some of these places are. It's like, it's crazy to see.
United States is like a baby compared to all
Compared
these.
to them.
Is, of course, food would be the most important thing, but lots of cuisines that you would see along the trip. 2 meals would be provided each day for the students. The only meal that they would be responsible for would be lunch. And the reason they do that is because some students are kind of picky when it comes to cuisine, so they want to make sure students are eating on the trip, so if there isn't certain foods that they like, they would have the opportunity to eat their own choice lunch. The trip would be approximately 12 days with a start date roughly of June 16th and finishing on June 27th. There is a 3-day window on either side, and the reason they do that is they want to make sure that we can hit every single place on the tour itinerary. For example, like if you were to go to the Louvre, there are certain days during the week that it's closed, so in order to move that, they might adjust the dates forward or backwards to make sure everything is open and we can get the best price for the travel dates. What is included in the itinerary, what the price will pay for, round trip airfare, hotel stays at a, basically be like a 3-star equivalent hotel. That's going to be added into the price because, as we'll see, is because they're not staying with host families, the price is a little bit pricier. But they will still get an awesome experience there staying in hotels. Regional style meals, they'll have a 24/7 tour director that will stay in the hotels with us, do all the translations and history tours of the locations, transportation, local guides, sightseeing, and entrance to all attractions. The only thing students would be responsible for would be their passports, baggage fees. They do include a check bag. There might even be 2 check bags, I have to confirm on that. They try to avoid doing that as much as possible. They want kids to travel as lightly as possible, but they do include that. Tips for local guides, just on the buses or on any of the local tours that we see, and then any snacks, and then again that lunch that I mentioned before in certain years. They are big into safety, so they have lots of rigorous standards when it comes to safety with 24-hour support no matter where we are. And parents have the opportunity to be connected with these groups as well. There's a hotline that they can always reach, so there's always a chance they can get hold of their child while they're over there. Some of the opportunities associated with the trip is there's an EF personalized learning guide where the students can earn a half high school credit included using this guide. It sounds like from what the person I've been partnering with is basically would require some sort of a presentation at the end, kind of like the students did here, and they could earn credit for that. They could also earn college credit through, I believe it is Southern New Hampshire University. They can get free college credit by taking a 16-week tuition-based course. And that would be about 1/3 the cost of taking it in person if they just did it this way. And then college essay help, if they go on this tour, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to the tour, but they are now embedded within this college essay help that they can get when applying for scholarships or applying to schools. They can have someone there that can help them write their essays based on their experience. This is sort of their motto when it comes to these trips. The goal is for them to have a growth mindset, work through adversity, provide a global perspective and understanding of the world, develop personally, and then produce people that are more globally involved and creating more action impact in their own communities. These are some of the team members that would be working with us on the way. You can book with confidence, and part of the thing that's included with the price of the trip would be insurance. So they would be covering some of these things like baggage and property, trip cancellation, interruption. If students were to pay an extra $350, they would be able to have their entire trip reimbursed if for some reason there was a cancellation up to 24 hours prior to departure. So if there's some last minute thing like a death in the family or something happens, then students could get all of the money back except for that $350 for the insurance. So there's some opportunities there for safety and insurance. There are scholarship opportunities to help fund this trip, as well as a tour fundraising page that helps students fund this trip because it is more expensive than our typical exchange programs. This would be a great way for students to be able to access the trip if price is an issue. And this is just an overview of everything I just talked about. So the price of the trip, they can finance it out, but basically if students were to enroll by the end of this month, then that price would be around $5,000. And then if they were to pay in installments, you can see it on a bi-weekly or monthly basis. You also have the option to pay in sort of larger, inconsistent installments. If you decided to, it would just cost a one-time $50 fee to do that, and then you can pay whenever you want, how much ever you want, as long as you pay the full price before the trip deadline. And again, the price is a little bit higher because of those things I mentioned prior. And I believe that's everything on here. So, apologize for taking a lot of your time, but hopefully that hit some of the major.
And then this is for summer of
2026.
2026.
And the reason I wanted to start it so early is because I know it is more expensive. I want to give them as much chance as possible to fundraise prior to it, because I know that that'll be a point for some students will be the price. So hopefully some students will be able to take advantage of that. And enough time will give them enough time to fundraise and save for it. So.
Okay, and then this is, I know we talked about this at curriculum committee, but and it's open to.
So it's going to be open to anybody who is in high school at the time of the trip in 2026. So that would be current 6th graders through our current 9th graders.
Okay.
Because at that time, the 6th graders will be freshmen and the 9th graders will be seniors. I don't want to bring anybody that's just graduated just because of the
legal,
legal aspect, right? All that
yep.
stuff. So.
That makes sense. I think it sounds like a great thing.
I do too.
Does anyone else have any questions? That was a great presentation. Got a lot. And obviously, will this be on the school website if parents did want to look it up more?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope to, as soon as my goal was as soon as there was approval, if there was approval, that to start bringing this out to everybody. There will be emails sent out to all the parents. I'll be coordinating with the person from EF Tours too. They're working with me to communicate with all the parents. They already have a whole bunch of emails that are scheduled week by week, basically, of what parents can expect, and then a lot of advertising, so to all the schools, the middle school and the high school. Trying to partner with some teachers too at all the schools to just get the word out. So yeah, the more word out, the better, so the website would be perfect.
What will the ratio of chaperones to students be?
My goal is roughly 1 chaperone per 6 students, so they actually pay for a chaperone to go for every 6 students that enroll. I've already got one, Paula Tun said she'd go, and she's got 2 kids that would love to go because they're current. Say again? EF Tours. Mm-hmm.
That's nice. And then you're saying by December 30th of this year?
Of this year, if they enroll, then that would be the 200
okay.
Off. Yeah,
okay.
So I know it's kind of a quick. I will talk to the advisor from EF Tours if that's like a solid date. I know that they were basically looking to see whenever this was approved, and they would basically give us like a 2-week window after that, if trying to get parents enrolled as soon as possible, just so that the fundraising can happen and the price point stays as low as possible.
And you said your goal is 1 chaperone for every 6 students?
Yeah, so I mean, I would have as many lined up as would want to go, but my goal would be so that for every 6 students, they want to have 1 parent for every 6. That's kind of like what they recommend, and then they also provide a chaperone the free trip for every 6 students that enroll.
So if there's more chaperones, they could just pay.
Could go, they would just have to pay the cost.
Okay.
If there's, and I know that I'm trying to keep the cost as low as possible for as many people, so that's why I mentioned that number. But I'm open to as many chaperones as we can.
Well,
get
and I
through.
feel like with this much time, hopefully you would be able to find enough too.
Right.
Will this be open for chaperone, like for any parent, or is it just like you want school? staff, which
So
is understandable.
Ideally, I would like to have school. I mean, yes, parents are definitely involved, but in the case of Paula, like she'd be a parent and a teacher.
Yeah.
I would like to have more connections with the schools. I've also been in touch with some of the other advisors that go on some of the school trips who have experience with these kind of things,
Yeah.
which I don't have. So it'd be nice to have someone who has that experience to go with, just as kind of backup. So.
Well, thank you for giving our kids this opportunity. I think it's awesome. I'm a wimp when it comes to traveling, and I'm a baby about it, but I think it's awesome because that's minority. I know a lot of people, and I just think it's awesome that a small district like this can offer so much. So
Especially those places.
I appreciate people like this that are doing all this research. And
thank you.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the Eastern European trip through educational tours for Lodi High School for the summer of 2026.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
and hope to hear from us soon.
All right, our report cards.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, DPI School District Accountability Report cards were made public on November 14th, the day after the last board meeting. So information regarding the report card was shared with the Curriculum Committee on November 15th. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Carls, who's just going to do a brief review of the results for the district and the school.
Can I just switch it over on my computer? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you giving me just a little bit of time here. So again, with our school report cards, they are required by the state, and a lot of the components of the report card are really set and put in place by certain legislative components. As been said, we did a in-depth review, as we always do at the curriculum committee of the board, because we want to take time to really celebrate our successes, but also identify areas where we need to kind of be alert, where we may need to make future investments. And this board has been very good about doing that. You can really backtrack areas where on previous report cards we saw, hey, here's a place where we may need to make a future investment. Middle school math, for being an example, where the board decided to make an investment in that, update our curriculum. As a result, in the hard work of our teachers and our leadership, we were able to see increased results in that. So these things do matter, and that's why we do pay close attention to them. But also, in education, we don't always get to celebrate things, so I do think this is an opportunity to really celebrate the wonderful things that are going on for our students and our staff. The Lodi Enterprise had an article there about this. It was in the community link. The report cards are posted on our webpage. A few years ago, the board asked me to do a video that accompanies the report cards every time. That's on our webpage. That goes in depth about each report card and how it's kind of structured. So you have all of that, and the community has all of that. What I'd like to do today is just kind of take our district report card. I won't go into depth with the school ones because I did that in the video, but I'd just like to add a little bit of additional information that maybe you wouldn't have had previously behind some of the numbers on the report cards. So again, to the community, my video is in board docs, it's on our webpage. If you want to dig into that and really get into these report cards, you can, but I'll just hit a few of the highlights right now. So again, this is the district report card, and at the top you see all of our district demographic information. You see this summary score here. I'm going to call it like an index score. And you see components down here. These are the 4 areas that make up this index score. Each one, this section shows the weight of each of these as it correlates right here. Okay? This score is going to put you into one of 5 rating categories as a district, everywhere from fails to meet expectations all the way to significantly exceeds expectations. But let me just give a little bit of context behind the numbers you see on this page, specifically the numbers related to each of these 4 categories in this section right here, because I think that sometimes can be a little confusing for people. Again, board, I know that we've dug into this a lot in the past, so many of you, this is things you already know. But just to highlight, so the main score on here, the 79.4, I want to give a little bit of context behind that, and I thought you would have seen this if you read like the article in the Lodi Enterprise. Sometimes people see that and they think 79.4, that's a C+, because you're thinking traditional high school like grading scale. This was never meant, when DPI constructed this and the legislature put these in place, these were never meant to be associated with like a traditional grading system. So that's sometimes confusing to people. So I think this adds a little bit of context to it. There's 421 districts in the state of Wisconsin. This score puts us 41st out of 421 districts in the state of Wisconsin. And even that's a little bit of a misrepresentation. There's actually 378 true K-12 districts in the state of Wisconsin. Example, like Arrowhead High School, it's high school, but it's also a district in itself, because it's got K-8 districts that feed into a district. That makes sense. So if you take out those anomalies, let's call them, you just looked at the true K-12 districts, there's 378 of them, and we're 25th out of 378. So just to give that number there a little bit of context. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to dive in and, again, watch the video if you really want to understand the components, all the pieces of this, but I'm just going to give a little bit of context behind these numbers right here. And if you dig into the report cards, there's actually a percentile rank that it gives for each of these components. And so I want to highlight that for you today. That's not something that I've done in the past, but we did do at the curriculum committee level this year. And I think it gives a little bit of a window into each of these numbers. If you remember percentile rank, maybe in the health field, when you would take your child to the doctor and they would say, oh, their height is in, you know, the 50th percentile. Well, 50th percentile is like average. So keep that in your mind, okay? And I know I'm simplifying that, but keep that in your mind. So achievement, when we look at achievement, the school district as a whole is in about the 63rd percentile for achievement, okay? Above average for achievement. Yes, we'd like to see that increase, and I'll highlight why I think we will see that increase in a little bit on future report cards. But also know this, our high school, their achievement is in the 85th percentile in the state of Wisconsin for high schools. So kind of that tells a little bit of a journey the student takes through our system. By the time they get to high school, scoring pretty well. The next part, that is growth. So how do students grow over the course of their time over multiple years in our district? And we're in 98.9, about the 99th percentile, okay, of districts in the state. In fact, we had the 6th highest growth score in the entire state of Wisconsin for districts. That's pretty phenomenal. The math growth score is the highest score you can get. That's really amazing. The next part, target group outcomes, that takes a look at students who performed in the bottom quartile the year before. So think about in a building or in the district, the students who perform in the bottom 25% in our district. It takes them and puts them in a cohort, and then it tracks their progress over time. So it says, okay, those students, now we don't want to be serving your top population of your district, but you have systems and structures in place, intervention time at the high school, win time at the middle school, elementary school, primary school. Do you have systems in place to give students double dips of learning so that they can grow, right? And so when you look at how do we serve that population of students, we're in about the 98th percentile in the state as a district for that category, which is just wonderful to see. That's a huge celebration. And then the last part, on track to graduation, that really highlights a few research-based benchmarks, absenteeism, graduation rate, 3rd grade English language arts, and 8th grade math. And if you look at that, we are in the about 65th percentile for that. So above average. If you remember from previous report cards, that 8th grade math was highlighted as one that was below the state average. That is now above, and we anticipate seeing that continue to climb with the growth that we're seeing with the middle school math. English language arts, again, we're talking about things that are celebrations, but we also want to highlight areas we want to have continued improvement. Elementary English language arts continues to be an area where we want to see improvement. But we saw that, if you recall, on previous report cards, the board made an investment. We have a new literacy program at the elementary level. We're a few months into that, so we anticipate seeing increased results in that area as our teachers and students continue to get their heads wrapped around that curriculum. I want to highlight this graphic from the report card. This is from the district report card. This highlights the blue is students who fell in the advanced on the state assessment. Purple's proficient, basic, and then below basic. And this is over 3 years worth of time, so going back to 2021, and this represents 22, 23. And you can just see by looking at the graphic, the increase that we're starting to see in achievement. When they measure achievement here, that's based on 3 years worth of results. So already you can see that with next school year's report cards, this is going to fall off, enter new data in, okay, in the calculation. So that's something, as long as we continue to see trending in this direction, we should see the achievement climb. Eventually, we'll start to see the growth probably go down a little bit as we see the achievement continue to go up. But that's just an overall of our school report cards. A lot of information out there. Watch the video if you want to get a more in-depth piece. But I really just want to thank our board. I think we have a lot of good conversations around this. Taking a look at this and our local data to see where we need to continue to make investments to grow and improve. Do you have any questions?
I just want to say thank you, Nick, too, and administration and the teachers, everybody that works all together to make all this happen.
Appreciation.
Yes.
No problem. I appreciate this board. Continue to do great things. Thank you.
Before you go, though, I want to say one thing, because I've been on the board a long time, and we have never had this team. I mean, we've had a different team, but we have seen places where we needed to grow. And we would try things, and be like, well, let's try this, and let's try that. And we didn't see, we saw results, but not the kind of results we're seeing now. And so it gets me emotional, sorry. Having this gentleman, and you, and these administrators, and of course the staff, of course, right? But without the leadership, it doesn't matter. It's just phenomenal.
Thank you, Adam. That's true. All true. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
We're emotional tonight, aren't we, guys? All right, LCAT and crew discussion.
Thanks, Nick. I just want to echo what Adam has said too, just briefly. I mean, we have a great administrative team, and they have done a great job aligning our district.
Right.
We are
Yeah.
a district instead of 5 different schools.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're aligned, and that shows, and it helps. It speaks to all of the leaders that we have sitting over there, so we appreciate it. LCAT, Community Service Fund, LCAT crew. So the administration presented an overview of Fund 80 at the Facility and Finance Committee last Wednesday. In the presentation, the Facility and Finance Committee reviewed Fund 80 as a whole, and then they heard more detailed highlights of the 3 biggest programs under Fund 80, LCAT, Pool, and Crew. The committee learned about the current work and program being offered through these programs. During the course of the presentation, the committee also learned about a $79,000 opioid grant that has been awarded by the county. The grant will provide additional services in Lodi through LCAT and PARC, Prevention and Response Columbia County, but it also required more work to be done throughout the county in the area of prevention. The grant will necessitate the district adding a 0.4 FTE of staffing to help fulfill the requirement of the grant. The district will have to move forward with either accepting or turning down the grant. The district put together a chart with the presentation, which is up here, to give the community and the board a longitude of data funding of LCAT over the past couple years. So if you look in 22, 23, these are salaries, benefits, purchase services, and you get down to the bottom, the cost of LCAT to the district was $97,000, or about $97,000. This current year, the cost of LCAT, everything moved up, but we were able to get some more grants. The cost is $60,000, almost $61,000. You could hit one more, Tyler. There you go. So option A would be for the district to move forward with not accepting the opioid grant, $79,000. And then we would stay at our 1.58 FTE that we have currently. And that's just estimates of things moving forward because we haven't decided on salaries and benefits for next year, but estimates that Brent helped put over. And it would cost the district just about $64,000. However, if we do accept the opioid grant, we'll show option B. Tyler, one more.
He likes to make it suspenseful.
Yeah.
What's that?
He likes to make it suspenseful.
Yeah,
you
right.
know?
So option B, you'll see the staff salaries and benefits go up because now we're adding a .42 position. But you see the total cost of the district drops significantly because of that grant coming in. So that would be a $25,000, almost $26,000 cost for the district. So after reviewing this, again, the LCAT and crew gave a full presentation, which is linked here. The committee didn't feel that they wanted to go through that whole presentation tonight. They just wanted me to summarize it, and they felt they could answer questions, and Paul is here to answer any questions as well. The committee recommended a full board, or moved the full board with recommendation of approval. School District Lodi's LCAT program as presented with the acceptance of the $79,000 opioid grant, not to exceed the cost of the district of $26,000 for the 24-25 school year.
So the option A is only a 1.58 person. Option B is 2.
Okay.
2.0. So 1.58 for option A, 2.0 for option B.
Okay.
But that .42, right, is doing county work. It's not doing school district work. And if that grant, well, one of the things we talked about is writing into that contract, if that grant goes away, then that .42 position would go away because we wouldn't be doing work out in the county. We would just be doing work here in the Lodi.
Are there any other CAT, if you will, organizations, like obviously not another Lodi CAT, but like a different school district that shares in that responsibility with the county? Or is it just us?
So I'll let Paula start to answer what the question is, Paula. The question is there other school districts that have something like LCAT that is sharing in this opioid?
Not in Columbia County. There, we have Lodi Community Action Team and Prevention and Response Columbia County are honestly the only coalitions working, doing the kind of work that we do in Columbia County. Wanakee has but they're in another county.
Sure. Yeah.
They have a drug-free communities grant, so they're doing some similar work. But
So is that sustainable for what it would be 2 people, you're saying, to do
Yes.
to take on all that work? Or
I mean, the workload that Brian and I have just to fulfill the grants that we have now, it's a lot. And so yes, to even be able to have 2 FTEs in this position is it will be amazing. So yeah, it's very sustainable. And then the opiate money is still going to be coming into the county. So that's a very sustainable grant system.
Right. What I mean is it overworking? Like, is it too much to take on? That's my fear. Like, it sounds great. Like, I would love option B. I looked through your presentation, I looked through everything. I just worry about the workload. Is it taking on the county if we're the only district doing that, and our town, like our 9 municipalities that make up our district?
Right, and just be aware that in each grant, so for this grant cycle for that particular one, we have said to them, we'll try in a couple. We're not saying we're going to hit every single other school district this year. That would not be something we could do.
Okay.
So for the grant, what I wrote is that we will start introducing ourselves, and we hope to get a couple other school districts doing some of the same kind of program. We're not expecting that we're going to go out and change the whole county in 1 year. So.
Sure. I just didn't know what expectations were on you once the grant money was given that you had to fulfill, that now all of a sudden.
Right, yeah, I appreciate that. Having worked under grants for so long, I watch those works and tasks very carefully, so.
Sure.
But yeah, I appreciate that.
Any more discussion?
I move to approve the school district of Lodi's LCAT program as presented with the acceptance of the $79,000 opioid grant not to exceed a cost to the district of $26,000 for the 2024-25 school year.
I'll second.
Motion by Scott, second by Sarah. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Paula, thanks for staying.
Well, no problem, and thank you all for your trust in us to do this program, so.
And thank you for going out and getting grants.
Yeah, no, that's,
Us to do, so
you,
that's-
yeah, and
Grant
you have, and that's awesome. Thank you so much.
The grants come with strings, so that's usually
They do.
Yeah.
They don't just keep going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
State convention.
Yeah, so thanks to all the board members who have given their information to Maureen regarding the upcoming state education convention. If you have not given information to Maureen, please do so after tonight's meeting because the early registration ends here Friday, so she will be registering people this week for the convention. So you know who you are, so make sure you touch base with Maureen afterwards.
It's a fun time.
That's a great learning experience.
It is.
Part of my PTO and.
Cool.
All right, candidacy and non-candidacy paperwork.
Yeah, so just a reminder, there are 3 seats up for the Board of Education who are up for the election. Terry Hay, Angie Lathrop, and Christine McMorris. Incumbents who are not running need to have their notice of non-candidacy filed no later than December 22nd at 5 p.m. Those who are other candidates who are interested must have their paperwork filed no later than Tuesday, January 2nd at 5 p.m. The forms for filing can be found on our website. Again, January 2nd at 5 p.m. Just know that deadline, but just a reminder, as I shared earlier, our district office is closed throughout the holiday week. So either if you're interested in running, make sure you get that paperwork in either before we close in December, or make sure you plan on being here January 2nd before 5 p.m. And then anybody who's interested in running, I am always open, and I always make this offer to people who run, that I will meet with them and talk them through any issue that is going on in the district, whether they're running for, if they're considering running for school board, or if they are running for school board. So just so I can, people can be educated about what's going on in the district, and I can share that information.
Thank you. Our educational options, approval of notice to parents and guardians.
Yeah. Each year, the district's required by January 31st to provide parent guardians with a notice of building and district report card data, along with a summary of educational options available within the school district of Lodi. Attached is a January 2024 letter to parent guardians to provide the board provided for the board to review and approve prior to copying, mailing, and posting on the district website to meet this mandatory requirement. So we'd ask for approval.
I make a motion to approve the annual notification notice for parents on school options as required under 2015 Act 55.
I'll second.
Motion by Adam, second by Sarah. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Board self-evaluation.
Yeah, according to Board Policy 153, each board member shall complete a self-evaluation form. So board members should complete this form no later than December 22nd. Maureen Palmer will compile this information for this summative report for the board to review at their January meeting, and board members have a link to that here in board docs that they can access. So we asked to do that before the holidays. That's your final exam.
Yeah. At least we get to do it before the holidays,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Thanks, Mo, for doing that for us. Policy.
Yeah, so there is a request
7250.
by the Facility and Finance Committee to have this policy go back to the Policy Committee for review. It's Policy 7250, Commemoration of School Facilities. This is a NOLA policy that's gone through a first read at the district, but if there are no objections, I will just place this on the next Policy Committee agenda, and then we can have that discussion at that moment.
Go right ahead.
So you guys have not discussed it at the policy?
No.
Well, we did one point, right?
We
It
did
came all the way
once.
to the board meeting. We did a first read, but Facility and Finance, we were having a discussion about facilities, and
Oh,
this
okay.
policy came up, and so they, the question about possibly naming facilities and steps that would take.
Okay.
So they
And
wanted to
Sarah
bring
was
it
at
back
that
to
finance
And I was at
so
that one.
You
Yep.
got it. So
policy
it'll be
committee and have
okay.
us discuss this in January.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that
that's right, no meeting in December.
Yeah, we don't
give us
have
something to
December.
look forward to in January.
So unless there's anybody who has a concern about it, we'll just take it back. Right.
No, I don't think so.
Sounds fine.
First reading of policies.
Yeah, so the policy committee reviewed and unanimously moved to the full board with a recommendation of 29 Neola policies that are listed in board docs. These are the final Neola policies that we are reviewing to get everything through. We will then have to do administrative guidelines.
Final?
Well, final. Well, no, because you guys just kicked one back.
Our goal is
So
no more of these.
I don't know, Adam's
Goals.
got some.
Not
just a
like
couple.
that.
Yeah, so this is the last one, we'll have administrative
Terry, you're
guidelines,
knocking
and
your
then we
name
will
off?
still have to do updates, like there have been updates that come throughout the year. We haven't done them as we've been doing this, so we'll have to do that, and that'll continue as we move forward, but yes, so there are policies, and Adam has.
Like just a couple. So 5136, which I kicked back last time, on personal communication devices. So it got changed a little, and it's fine, change it however you want, but it still says, and you might want to jump in on this, that the students are not allowed to look at any, on their own personal device, they're not allowed to look at apps or websites that have been blocked by the district in passing times before school or after school. And I know they do that all the time, and so if we're going to have this policy, how is that going to be enforced? Is there penalties for that? Is it going to go out a notification of that to tell students they can't do that? I mean, are teachers supposed to jump in and say, hey, are you looking at, I just don't see how it's enforceable.
Well, we changed it, right? So we changed from what I said before, that they couldn't go on there to it. Students are only approved for this, so we're only approving this piece. It's not saying that students
aren't,
but
or
if
won't.
there's an issue, then we can come back and have
Then we
this
can-
conversation
yeah.
that they have only been approved to go on these sites. If a parent comes back to us and said, you allowed my child to go on this site, we can
So
say,
this is
they're
just to
not,
cover
they're
us.
not approved for that, yeah, right. It's
Yeah.
just to cover us as a district. So if they are on a site or they do something on a site, then we can come back and have some piece in there. I don't know how to reword that any other way. So we struggle with it at the policy committee level, and
Yeah.
this is kind of the best that we felt we could come up with to address
And
that.
that information goes in the handbooks.
Right.
Right, yeah.
So it's not like, if you read the handbook, it's there.
And you're signing off that you.
No, so I understand approved, I get that part, so that makes sense, so I'm good with that then. And then the other part about not being able to take pictures of friends and teachers and all that kind of stuff, again, it's something they do continually taking pictures like that in video.
But I think, wasn't it in there that it was consent?
Right, but they don't say, hey, I'm taking a selfie and there's 12 people in there, and they go, do I have consent from all 12 of you? They don't do that. So you guys just take pictures, you just take video constantly. And I mean, I'm with students and I'm just like, okay, right? So if I knew this, right, and I'm with them, am I supposed to jump in and say, hey, do you have permission from all of those people to take their, it seems goofy, silly.
I think it's covering us again, though.
But
Because that
It
kind
says
of happened
prohibited.
in school recently about some kids taking pictures.
Yeah, we definitely need something. I'm 100% for that, right? I just don't.
And they
know
did
what.
get in trouble for it.
So again, Adam, we struggle with this. I
Yeah.
don't know how to rewrite it to a point where it really comes back down without their permission, right? So typically when kids are taking pictures, students are taking pictures, they have tacit permission because kids are leaning in. They're really,
Right.
it's when you come back and say, you can't take my picture, and somebody does it anyhow. I need to have something in
No, I get
policy.
it. You must have something.
That
And
says
so
that
must
they
they.
can. Right, this is kind of what covers that. So without permission typically is like, it's tacit permission, like people aren't going out and asking everybody, can I take your picture, even though recently I was in the art class and that's what I did, right? Can I take your picture? Now, I typically don't ask that at the primary school level because they just want me to take their picture, right? In high schoolers usually do too, but usually never.
Well,
and
parents
there's-
also sign that.
They do.
if
There
they
is.
don't
No, I know,
want
but
their
I still
kids'
ask.
videos,
Yeah,
et cetera.
yeah.
But it just comes back to, for us, it's,
And
if a
Adam,
student
to
comes
your
back.
point, that with that, if I were the teacher in that room and you knew that in the handbook it said that permission, it's an educational, it's teaching moment also to say to them, did you ask permission? I mean, you're not enforcing it, but it's a good idea to ask permission.
Right, but it's continual, so.
Right. No, I know. sorry, I
Yeah.
stepped into Vince's talk, I think.
Yeah, I have no other thing to offer, so, right?
Yeah, so
I mean,
we
and
went
this is-
through it again,
Yeah,
so
I get it.
I don't know.
I see how you changed it, but.
Yeah, so
And it's Neola, I mean,
We went over.
I think
and over
we'll just
and
need to live it a while and see.
Right, or send it back to students who are doing it and see if they come up with a better solution, right? That might be the route to go.
Well, there's a group that I know
Yeah,
someone's
thanks,
running that's
yeah.
looking for problems to
Well,
solve.
right there, gotcha. Thank you. Can we go to bullying 551701?
Well, I mean, it's all part of actually real for not just school, but out in public and everywhere.
Right.
And all the stuff that happens on a regular basis. I mean, I think it would be great if students at some level would talk and think about that.
Right.
It's ongoing. It'll be different next year and 3 years later, but, you know.
It's just a simple update. So cyberbullying includes, it's on the second page, but it's not limited to the following: posting slurs or rumors or other disparaging remarks about a student on a website or a web blog. Those things are dead now. So it should just say the internet or an app.
Are you on the same, is it the same policy?
I'll just give this to you. No, it's a new policy. It's on bullying.
It
It's
can
just
come-
updating the current language, yeah.
So it can come back to us and get updated?
Students don't read emails unless they're forced to, so. Yeah, I'll send this in and you'll see it, so.
Okay.
It's just about
Good,
posting on
because
the
we
internet. or
wanted
an
to
app.
have been
So what
done
policy
for
number is
some
that?
time.
It's
We had seen
551701.
Alright.
You can have that.
can I just look at your?
Yeah, it's
Right.
just to change it to
Oh.
internet and app, that's all.
So
'Cause that's what they use today.
So if the board's okay with that, we can just move it forward and I'll just make that change.
What are you saying exactly?
It says, so it's the
emails
policy on
and web
cyberbullying
blogs.
says students
Those
can't
are
make
dead.
remarks on a website or on a web blog. And Adam would say we should change that to the internet instead of a website and/or an app.
Because they use apps for.
Right, so it's more,
Okay, just updating it.
It's like I was
more
saying
updated to the
before,
language
it's
that
just
we're
gonna
using
stay
today.
ahead of us.
Okay,
That's all.
So
Yep.
I think we can do that without going back to the policies. Right?
Thank you.
I feel like people say weblog all the time.
People say internet all the time.
The internet we need.
Yeah, okay.
Is that for stuff that's on the line?
And then the last one is 5870, student production of goods and services. And we heard about students producing goods and services tonight, right? So STEAM is doing it, Patchwork
Yeah.
is doing it, the 21 program is doing it, and we probably have others. And in this policy, it says that students may produce goods and services for nonprofit community organizations. But those are doing direct to community, so I think the
We're
word
not
non-
making a profit off of them.
No, that's not what it says. It says they may produce goods and services for nonprofit community organizations or groups. Or does that mean they have to be part of that?
I didn't
So they
see that
produce
at
those
all.
on the behalf of a nonprofit organization. The
For
school
them.
district would be a nonprofit.
Right.
Yeah, we're nonprofit.
Right, so it's not where they're selling it, it's just where they're
Right,
producing
where
it.
that, yeah, where
yeah.
that.
Clarity,
Okay.
thank you. That's all I have.
And one 5780. 5780 parent, student, parent, guardian, right? And it's the third paragraph at the end.
At the third paragraph,
Yep.
way at the end?
Yeah,
So third up from the bottom.
correct. A student who is still a dependent for federal tax purposes, but who has reached the age of maturity may, by written request, restrict his, her parents, guardians' access to personally identifiable information from his, her student records. Can you explain that?
So typically, we allow students who are 18, like we allow their parents to have access to their records. A student can put in writing that I don't want my parents to have access to, because they are a legal adult. They can restrict access to their records from their parents
Their
legally.
educational records, their grades, their all of that?
Because they're 18.
So is that,
State and federal law.
is that because we are required to because they're 18? Because as a parent, I read this, a student who is still dependent of the federal tax purposes, so you're still paying for them,
Right.
you're still providing everything for them. And I understand that they're 18, I understand that they're adult. I mean, I get that common sense. But are we as a district required to do that, or can we not do that, and can we just take that out and say, like, why?
I think it's part of the state statute.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm double checking that right now.
Yeah, we have always had that in place. It's not like we advertise that a lot with kids, that they can, like, once they turn 18, that they really can make their own attendance decisions. We say if you're still living at home, you're still on mom and dad's roof, that's what you have to do, but you can put something in writing that has those records, but it typically, it doesn't happen very often because most of our families are obviously working together, and that's our goal, is to try to have families work together and still work together as they turn 18 and transition out.
It is part of the state statute.
It's a state statute, it's not
So
something
we're
we make up.
required. So like a truancy situation, like if an 18-year-old just decided we're not going to come, would it come back on the parent?
They don't
Or
have to
come
come to
back on
school,
them?
they're 18. They're 18, they can drop out of school. Right, so.
We would do everything in
Everything
our
we
power
could
to
not.
keep
Oh,
them
absolutely.
in.
So let's.
Yeah, we wouldn't
let's-
just say see
So
ya.
that's the legal piece of it, obviously, right? So from a practical piece, we will do everything we can to try to help repair that relationship if there's an issue there, and help support a student to make sure that they're coming to school and try to continue that communication. That is always our goal. Our goal is never, it's like, well, you're 18, now you get to make a list. No. And that's typically not how it works. It's pretty rare that we have that happen. It does on occasion, but typically we work really hard. And again, our families work really hard together too, right? It's tough being a parent and you bang heads with your kids from time to time. But it's pretty rare that we have a situation where we have somebody who wants to totally cut their parents out of everything.
Okay, so like,
Very rare.
because I fully understand that there are situations where a child, when they turn 18, needs to get away from certain situations. I fully understand that that's the reality of our world. If it was like the opposite, where a child was kicked out as soon as they turned 18, said you're an adult now, you're on your own, and they have nowhere to go, they have no transportation, but they don't want to leave school or
Sure.
their education, they want to graduate. Do we have things in place to help them?
We do. We would treat
We
them
go
as
get
a
'em.
homeless student, right? So we would work very hard. We would engage Adria and bring all the powers we have to help that student stay in the school, even if they, so for example, if they were 18, regardless of what age they were, if they were homeless and, you know what, I have to crash on grandma's couch and grandma lives in Sauk, we would consider them homeless. We would have to provide transportation for them to come to school here. So we continue their schooling until it's determined that, no, it would just be best for them to maybe go this off. Because really trying to keep that continuity with school is so important. So it's the McKinney-Vento Act, right? So that we have, by federal law, we have to try to do everything we can to keep them in school. So yes, we've had that situation too.
Yeah.
And we work very closely with that student to try to support them wherever they may land.
Okay.
And provide services, and then we have some great community services as well. Here at Reach Out Lodi, who helps provide a lot in our families and our communities. So helpful and supportive of all of our students when those situations happen.
And I did check the state and federal.
It's federal
sites.
too, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 state and 1 federal.
I thought so.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
You're
all
good.
I had.
Make it up.
Well, I mean, I looked at it before, I just wanted to double check.
Did you proofread it too? I bet you did. I bet you did.
No,
Yep.
the state level, she's
Yeah.
asking, did you proofread the state level?
Yeah, I do that too.
Any other questions?
And you guys are talking about these policies in January, correct? Or no? Or you did talk
No,
about
we
them?
talked about
all these.
them last
You
month.
talked about them all
Yeah,
already?
These are all
Okay.
coming for a first read, and if they go through here, they will be adopted when we adopt all of them at the same time, when we get through all the Neola policies and the academic guidelines, or I'm sorry, administrative guidelines.
Yeah, and we're not through those yet.
Okay.
We still have more fun.
The gender inclusion, are we going pretty much with, are we making those rules, or are we going with like the state and the WIA Like how?
Yeah, so we have a gender inclusion policy. Neola does not.
Okay.
And we've had one for a while. One of the reasons it's difficult for Neola is Neola is based out of Ohio, so they fall in different circuit courts. So different circuit courts have ruled in different ways on this. The reason we have a policy on this is because there are strong feelings about this issue.
Yeah.
Right? And we want to make it very clear to our students, our families, and our staff how we're going to proceed when it comes up. It sets students and families and everybody up for failure if we have staff members giving different directions to kids making requests or things like that. We need to make it very clear. And our policy follows current case law out of the 7th Circuit, and we're in the 7th Circuit Court, which covers Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana. There's some real clear case law that comes out in these areas. The main case being the Whitaker versus Kenosha Unified in 2017, which has just been, and then there was 2 cases in 2023, which has strengthened that initial case. So we follow pretty much all of that. The WIA transgendered participation, that's the WIA's policy, which has been incorporated in that. So we're a member of the WIA, we need to follow that. And that has been, reviewed by attorneys as well. So that's been a part of our policy. So it's really clear and laid out what happens if a transgendered student wants to participate in athletics.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion on any of them? All right. And there are no second reading for policies. Gifts and donations.
Yeah, so there's a couple grants. Grant for $1,750 to Lodi School Forest and the Natural Resources Foundation of Wisconsin, and a grant from Dean Healthcare in the amount of $1,000 for the staff wellness program. And we'd recommend that the board accept the donations with great gratitude.
I will.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to accept with great gratitude the donation of $1,000 grant for the staff wellness program from Dean Healthcare, and a donation of $1,750 grant to the Lodi School Forest from the Natural Resource Foundations of Wisconsin.
I'll second that.
Go ahead.
Who wants it?
Go ahead.
Move it around. I'll second it.
Motion by Adam, second by Terry. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Our committee reports. CISA 5.
There was no board meeting, but as it was included, Vince included it in, that we're getting a rebate check, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
Of $571.92. Last year we got $773.10. And that's because, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours too, CISA 5 goes above and beyond on so many things. And they end up estimating it's going to cost this much, but then they take in more because they're doing so much more. And
yeah.
So they're just giving it back to the people who pay for it. So.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Our co-curricular report.
The football team finished the year bringing home the WIA Division IV state championship, the gold football, with a 38-14 win over Luxembourg Castro. Lodi finished the season as the only undefeated team in the state of Wisconsin. The wrestling team is having a strong start to the season. This past weekend, Lodi took home first place at the Wanakee Warrior Invite with Isaiah Grosskopf winning the 215 weight bracket, and 5 other Lodi wrestlers taking home an individual second place. This is a great week to catch some Lodi wrestling with Lodi Wrestling Wanakee and DeForest. They are at home tonight, and Aquinas on Friday at Lodi Middle School. Boys basketball team is off to a 2-1 start. Their season opened at Reedsburg with 57-40 win, followed by a loss to New Glarus. This past Saturday, Lodi topped Portage 51-42 at home. The next chance to see the boys team at home is this Friday versus Amherst. The girls basketball team is off to a 2-4 start with a conference record of 1-2. Their first conference win came on November 28th in a hard-fought battle against Waterloo, with Lodi coming out on top of a score of 53-50. This week on Tuesday, Lodi will host Marshall at home, and next week we'll host both Lakeside Lutheran and Sauk Prairie. Boys hockey, the Norski Co-op hockey team is 1-3 with a conference record of 1-1. They opened conference play with a strong 7-3 win over Stoughton Watertown Luther Prep. This week they take on Wanakee on Tuesday and Beaver Dam on Thursday, both at the Ice Pond in Wanakee. Girls hockey, the Icebergs Co-op hockey team is 0-2 with a conference record of 0-1. They will take on the Middleton Co-op this evening in Stoughton and will travel to Brookfield Central for a game on Friday. And the mock trial season started up at the end of November, traveling to the Wanakee scrimmage. Several students took home awards, including the Ambassador Award, Teamwork Award, Spellbinding Performance Award, and Outstanding Attorney and Witness. Tonight they traveled to Shorewood for a scrimmage, and on Saturday they will attend the Sun Prairie scrimmage. Tournaments will begin once they are back from break in January.
Thank you.
Can I speak to that football team? We talked about the winning state, but they're actually academic all-state as well as a team.
That's true.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So we need to recognize that as well.
Yes.
To be proud of. Oh,
Yeah.
Congratulations to them.
I thought there was some other
Some
award.
kids have made like all areas. Mason Lane was all area. Brady Poles, Henry Keppen, Lyman,
Josh.
Clark.
Oh, it's good, yeah.
It's also.
OSC, but obviously Angie is not here. Does anybody, I did not make it to the, I'm sure they're doing great. Board committee reports, personnel did not meet since our last board meeting. Curriculum.
Yep. So we had Michelle Poles join us and give an overview of Phi-Ed in the health department. She said that primary units are going smoothly and they're starting at jump rope for heart soon. Elementary, Cody Andrus is in his first full year and he is getting things figured out. He appreciates the updated elementary school schedule. Middle school, they are in their pilot swimming unit. It had started, all is going well. The kids are enjoying it, and then we had asked for feedback once it is done, just to see how it went and just to see if there's anything that we could change or restructure or, how it's going, so it isn't just left there. The high school, the turf has been amazing, supporting all of our programs, and then she shared information about the Unified PE course and all of the mentoring community partnerships happening with that course. Mr. Kittleson gave his same presentation about the Eastern European trip, and that was great. We had lots of questions for him, and he was very well prepared and answered them, and we all felt very comfortable with it, hence the unanimous recommendation. We continued our discussion on the STEAM Academy. We just had, Zion had come and kind of just spoke to the board about funding and how that worked in our district as opposed to other districts, and spoke from his heart about just, if there's a possibility that more students can go with less of a financial burden. And we had a good discussion about that. We just realized that our district is just not in a position to do that, and so we've chosen to leave the policy as is for now.
Which is, they do fifth, do you remember? Do you remember how much?
We pay 2/3 and they pay 1/3.
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was, okay.
And we send four students. And then we actually also had great discussion too about just sending high schoolers into the college environment, and helped answer a lot of questions for me as a parent and just as a school board member.
And that they don't miss out on things here still.
Correct, and that we're not doing them a disservice by, fast forwarding their lives, if you will, because they don't get that time back. But everybody was created differently, and some kids flourished in that. Some kids were just meant to go right ahead. So it was a very healthy conversation, and I really enjoyed it. But I think we put it to bed. And then Dr. Carls gave the overview of the report cards a little bit more in depth and did very well on that. And I would encourage everybody to look through this and reach out to him. He's very willing to have conversations with you and to explain it more. I think it's important that we as parents and then as community members as well understand why these systems are in place and why we should understand all of them. Sometimes the scores aren't quite this way, and sometimes they're better, and it helps to know why. So We talked about future agenda items, and you can see that if you wanted to look at the minutes, but that was about it.
Thank you. Facility and finance.
Yeah, we met last Wednesday. We discussed Community Services Fund 80 overview. We touched on that tonight. That's LCAT and crew, so I don't need to go over that. Mo gave us a presentation on her ideas for branding, which was very informative. We learned a little bit about the logo and learned that Adam has done some updating, and I think he turned digitizing, so that may be something that the school district can take advantage of. We talked about complete branding guide, so that includes updating and improvements to our website, our community link, creating or improving our school brochure, welcome packets, and just ways to brand, reach out to the community. We talked about the tagline that the school district has. I don't know how many of you know that the school district has a tagline. It's Bright Futures Start Here. So that is something that we'll look at moving forward as to whether that's something that the district continues or looks to modify. And in the end, with a discussion about updating and improving our website, community link, welcome packets brochure, we're looking at getting bids for professional companies to help the district to make these improvements. Elementary school roof discussion, basically bids are being sought and are coming in, so more to come with that. We talked about policy PO 7250, which we mentioned here tonight, going back to the policy committee to look at that. Sarah can give you guys an update as to what our discussion was and what we're looking at. And then we talked about ESSER 3 funds and how to use those to the best advantage of our students. There are a lot of ideas and some proposals that have been made, and at this point we're still considering all of our options. We had a community member come and talk about working with perhaps the wrestling program, because they are interested in trying to update their wrestling facilities. That led to a conversation about the wrestling room, the weight room, and might we look at doing something similar to what we're doing with a PAC and some of the other parts of the building. So we asked bids to reach out to PRA to get a quote for us as to what it would cost to have those people come back and take a look at the weight room and wrestling room and offer us some ideas, because we need more space. We've also asked bids to ask people that run the weight room.
Oh, good. That was my next question.
Coaches that might have an interest to come to our next facility and finance committee and give us an update or their thoughts on what equipment might be beneficial or they feel that they need, or improvements that could be made. So it's all centered around the ESSER 3 funds, and again, getting them spent in the best interest of our students in our district moving forward.
Awesome.
That's what we talked about.
Can I just ask why branding would be in facilities and finance? Out of curiosity.
Because we wanted to go forward with the RFP, and so we needed permission to be able to start to put bids out. If we wanted to know if there was a chance that we would be able to do that. There's no sense putting an RFP out if we we're not going to be able to go forward with the bids. If that was possible.
To rebrand the district?
Well,
or like to what level?
Yeah, so just to look at.
Mo brought some examples, probably putting you on the spot, I'm sure you don't have them now, but kind of comparing some of the things that we have here, like our calendar or our community link. And then you went to a workshop or a presentation.
The public relations conference, yeah.
And brought back some of the materials from the other school districts. For example, the way they were laid out and the color as opposed to the black and white. Just, they looked a lot cleaner and a lot more modern and a lot crisper. So I don't necessarily think it's reinventing the wheel as much as it is kind of putting a fresh look on what we currently
just getting the
have.
help to start that process, giving us a base to go off of and work off of.
Gotcha.
Just
I
wanted to
think
have that
facility and
phase, then we
finance,
can use
because
that.
you needed our okay to seek
To seek bids.
bids. See what this.
From like a
potential
graphic
cost.
design company to freshen our brand per se, but to still keep it within our mission and within
Yeah.
who we are.
Right.
But
Just to tighten it up, and freshen it up.
changing any of that, it's just updating it.
Yeah, getting a little help to a fresh look.
And Vince, did Scott cover it? I know you were going to say something too, but.
You're welcome to come when those RFPs come in.
I would love to.
Absolutely.
Give 2 cents or 4 cents or half a dollar.
Yeah, just let me know.
All right, policy committee.
We talked about everything that we had gotten through all of them. We have 2 of them coming back. And then we'll be doing administrative,
Guidelines.
Yeah.
Administrative guidelines.
So we have a lot to do yet, but we're through the policy.
Getting there, getting there, guys.
I know, that's pretty exciting.
Well, thank you for all the reports. All right, our future meetings. So our next regular school board meeting will be Monday, January 8th, with 5:30 closed session, 6:30 open session. Personnel committee will be Wednesday, January 3rd at 4:30 p.m. Curriculum committee will be Wednesday, January 24th at 4:30. Our policy committee will meet on Wednesday, January 24th at 6 o'clock. And our facility and finance will be Wednesday, January 3rd at 6 p.m. And I believe we do not need to go back into closed session.
Just a reminder to the board, we do have a board retreat with our administrative staff that last Monday of January as well, so January 30th.
31st?
29th.
Thank you, I'm glad you brought that up.
Let me grab my calendar.
I have it in here too.
I don't have it.
You know, the calendar that my family doesn't look at?
What day of the week?
It's
It's a
the
Monday.
31st.
29th.
Oh, it is 29th.
29th.
5:30.
Oh,
5:30.
It's a Monday.
why did I have it as the 31st?
And what is it called? Is it
Board
here?
retreat. Well, we typically do it in the high school. We have.
So it is the 29th,
Yes, it's on that Monday.
3:45?
No, no.
5:30 to
5:30.
It's at high school.
What? It's like those listening sessions. I had you guys all set up for listening sessions that weren't happening. We're just gonna be me sitting there.
It's on, it should be on your
High
calendar.
school.
Okay.
If you link them.
All right. So we do not need closed session. We can look at our calendars.
I keep forgetting about that calendar that we have.
I know.
Very nice.
And I just want to say happy birthday to Christy today. Would anyone like to adjourn?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Motion by Terry, second by Christy. I'm losing my notes. Any more discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. We're adjourned.